Then again, there were a dozen hardened killers hot on their heels. She could try and hunker down and hope that the bandits would get lost in the darkness. Then again, actual bandits wouldn't be this tenacious at hunting down fleeing traders. "We follow the lights," the merchant whispered out in a low hiss, biting her cheek in frustration as she followed her own advice. Her assistants hesitated for only the briefest of moments before skulking after their employer. The lights flickered out when the motley crew passed, followed by a slight buzzing as the fireflies repositioned themselves. They guided the traders through gaps in the vegetation, allowing the group to move forward at a surprisingly rapid pace, despite the thick foliage blocking their way. The taunting voices of their pursuers slowly faded into the distance, replaced by chirping, croaking, flapping, and skittering sounds. They continued stalking forward for a few more moments when their firefly guides hovered higher over the ground, growing brighter as they did so. "Think we lost them?" Merchant Lisfield very nearly snapped at Arnleith for repeating the inane question for what felt like the 100th time. She instead sucked in some air through gritted teeth and forced herself into calmness. "The last time we thought we did, they very nearly caught us out in the open. Now keep quiet and follow the lights." Is that really wise, Merchant Lisfield?" "Probably not," the merchant in question admitted, eyes forward and trying desperately to see past the inky blackness of the Tahilian forest at night. "But I don't think we have a choice."
"Didn't you just say—"
Apprentice Silivar rasped out, the budding wizard struggling to appear and sound authoritative despite being out of breath.
"That those lights were an obvious trap? Something about a witch or warlock?"
Lisfield hesitated, nodded with a wince, and then remembered nobody could actually see the gesture in the darkness.
"I know, but we can't afford to linger around too long. I think our pursuers aren't bandits. Or rather, they're just pretending to be bandits."
That revelation caused the entire group to go silent, and Lisfield expounded her theory while still following their firefly guides.
"Most bandits would have been satisfied with the loot from the caravan. They would have gleefully scooped up the crispy vegetables, fresh produce, salted fish, and smoked hams, brought them back to hungry families, escaping the crushing taxes or oppressive levies of their former lord. They would have probably still killed the guards, true, but then they would have captured the merchants and enslaved the rest. The Merchants' Association would ransom the freedom of their valued traders. Grudgingly, yes, but that's one of the less publicized reasons why the association levies taxes on their members."
Lisfield hesitated before continuing.
"I was actually ransomed twice, once during my apprenticeship and again during my 4th expedition. Nasty business, that, but I came out of the whole thing unharmed and untouched."
A dry chuckle escaped her lips then, filled with both relief and bitterness.
"Times like those I thank the divines they gave me a face only my father could love."
Her employees stirred uncomfortably at the glib manner Lisfield recounted her dark tale. Hedgwin whimpered, the petite assistant well aware of what happened to pretty faces at the hands of the lawless, godless, and heartless.
"But no, these pretend bandits set fire to the whole caravan, killing everyone they got their hands on. They barely glanced at the foodstuffs they were transporting, their first priority being to kill and break and burn."
Lisfield's tone stiffened as she continued, still trailing behind the fireflies, ushering them through the thinner parts of the woods.
"They also employed way too many skills when they crashed into our guards. I once had the opportunity to witness highly skilled combatants unleash winding lunge, blinding riposte, and crescent cut during a tournament of arms. I saw those same exact skills utilized during the attack on our caravan. No surprise if one of our pursuing bandits has a skill that allows them to track us in the dark. Maybe a hunter with blood scent, or a ranger with quarry. Or they just might be really good at tracking the old-fashioned way, tracing our footprints, picking up clues from the disturbed vegetation or something."
Lisfield paused, hopped over a thick root, and continued onwards.
"I still think we're being led..."